Welcome to Chaos Podcast. I am your host, Terry Lynn. I am a virtual assistant, bookkeeper, and international business strategist. I love leveling up, creating strategies, and thinking outside of the box, especially with serial entrepreneurs because we are impacting the world with new innovations, community collaboration, and global technology. We will discuss strategies that stifle mental chaos so that you can create habits and outstanding success right here on Chaos. Welcome, Miss Sahar. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you
you?
for this opportunity, Terry Lynn.
You look fabulous.
Thank you, thank you, thank
I'm going to
you.
read your bio. I love bios. Meet Sahar Nafal, founder of the Soulful Leader community. She is a transformation leader, mentor, storyteller, and speaker for conscientious women and entrepreneurs who are creating change in the world. Tahar has a unique methodology when guiding women to be visible, be seen, and be heard by their communities through their authentic, aligned leadership. Her exceptional approach to business and life is at the heart of her dynamic style of guiding thousands of women through education and adversity. She believes that as women, we need to come together in authentic ways, channel our energy, share our stories, and heal as a collective. She was named Women Owned Business of the Year by Women's Initiative for Self Employment, featured in the Wall Street Journal, and awarded Women of Legacy Award by Powerful Women International. Welcome, Sahar. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. You
Thank
are making an impact. I
you.
love it.
Doing the best I can, answering my calling.
It's wonderful. How in the world did you even, and I ask this question all the time because I wonder how in the world do we even figure out where we belong in this world, where we serve? Like, when did your heart go, yes, this is where I belong? When did that happen to you?
What a great question. Um, so I grew up with a mom who was way ahead of her time, not just as a woman, but she was a Palestinian of a Christian faith who really was a rock star and my idol. She was an activist, an author. She was a speaker. She spoke on stages of many thought leaders, many actually presidents, even kings.
Wow.
She was out there making an impact and a difference for the Palestinian people. She spoke on their behalf, and later in life, she spoke on behalf of women in the Arab world. Belonged to many organizations. She just was a fierce woman, and I'm grateful that my father was very open minded and he wasn't your typical Middle Eastern man that would say, no, you just stay home, take care of the kids. So she managed to balance, but her vision of creating, change for the Palestinian people, her country, her people was just, she stood for that. And I saw her. And part of me said, I don't know if I want to get into what mama did, but she was an example for me, right? And
Powerful, powerful.
later on, she noticed that I have the quality of leadership, and she helped me start my first group called the Sahara Folkloric Dance Troupe, where we represented many Arab countries through folklore, dance, fashion. That was so much fun. I was 16 years old. And
Wow.
from then on, I continued to evolve the group, and I got married, but I still would do fashion shows at churches, or even before I was married in college, I would do fashion shows and folkloric dance with the students to also share our heritage, our culture. And so my first stage experience, I was 16 years old in San Leandro dancing,
Wow.
right? And I loved it. I knew it back then is like, oh, wow, this is like, I could make an impact on people's lives. And again, my mother,
Nice.
who she was, gave me permission to do so.
16.
That was the beginning stages of me being safe, being on stage.
16.
Yes,
Serving at 16.
yes.
I like that. That needs to be your tag. Serving at 16. Uh, I have said, and if you've listened to any of my podcasts, I have said that our passion comes from when we were young. Our passion was intertwined within us from a young age.
Yes,
And it just, it just flourishes as we get older
that's
and
right.
have a bigger
That's right.
sphere of individuals to
Yeah,
serve. Now I have your challenge here. Can I read your challenge?
sure.
How she went from living on the dark side of life in an abusive marriage, getting a divorce, and losing everything, to creating a successful business by supporting thousands of women and showing them how to step into their greatness. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. While putting two of my daughters through college as
I
an
know.
entrepreneur.
I know. I mean, it's not enough to
Uh,
serve, and then you have some babies that pull on your heartstrings at
mm,
every moment of every life. You
that's
worry
right.
about them even when you're sleeping and they're sleeping,
That's
and
right.
then you put them through college.
Woo!
That is not a small feat.
No, it's not.
That is great. Are they as powerful and impactful as you are?
Yes, they're probably even more powerful. Some of, one of them hasn't stepped into that yet, but oh yeah, they're
Oh,
movers. They're making impacts. My oldest daughter is creating change in her company, like by speaking out for women. Like she just doesn't. She's not quiet if something not right happens. So she's just speaking out. I'm so proud of her. Every time she calls, Mom, I'm calling, you know, um, the manager because this happened and this is not right. So I'm so proud of her. She's speaking on behalf of women. She sees anything that's not going right. So
she is following in the footsteps of
yes,
her legacy.
she is.
That is so wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. And the
How
youngest is
in the
yeah.
world did you now? One of my shows, my mom was my guest, and we
Oh,
talked about domestic violence because I
oh,
grew up as a child
mm,
viewing domestic violence.
mm,
And so I know the side from the child side.
mm.
And I asked her the side on camera,
Wow.
the side from her side.
Yes.
So tell me, when you finally had enough and
Mm-hmm.
decided that you were going to do something about it, where
Mm-hmm.
did you get the courage?
Good question. So it all started when I began to ask myself, why am I here? And that why is this marriage no longer belongs to me or my girls? And in 2004, I'll never forget, I decided to go to an Anthony Robbins Unleashing the Powers Within seminar. And there, during the time he
Ah,
asked us to walk and cross the fire, he said to write a piece of paper, what is it
yep.
that you really want? And I wrote down on a piece of paper, what I really wanted. And I remember going and being ready to stand on that fire and cross it. Because when I crossed that fire, whatever my wish was to come true. And right when I was ready to step onto the coal of the hot fire to do the fire walk, they stopped me and they said, wait, the fire wasn't hot enough. And that was my metaphor. It wasn't hot enough. And so within few seconds, fear, doubt, uncertainty came and start playing with me. And I decided to opt out and they just moved me right away. They go, okay, you're not ready. And I was so sad. And like shame came over me, sadness, uncertainty, and I didn't know what to do. And what was on that piece of paper was that I wanted to leave the abusive relationship. And so it
Wow.
took me. an additional 3 years to cross the barrier.
Oh,
And I kid you not, there was a lot of coal that was kept pouring on, but I kept on walking. I burnt my feet, but at the end, I made it and I made the walk.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we need your story so that women know that they can get out. You can get
Yes.
out. Now, I know there's a lot of preparation, not just mental. I talk about mental chaos,
Mm-hmm.
stifling the mental chaos. That's a huge task. But the preparation, you had children, you had to make sure you had enough money and someplace to live. And, I know that my mother just picked us up, moved us to West Virginia. Like
Yes.
you moved a city girl from Washington, D.C. to West Virginia. It was a total culture shock for me. And I did not understand at all. Like I've left all the family I know. But as I got older, I understood that she had to save us.
Mm-hmm.
She
Yes.
had to save us.
Yes.
So you saving you and
Mm-hmm.
your babies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a little teary eyed here.
Mm.
That is so, that is so, I don't want to use the word impactful because it's more than that.
Life changing.
For,
Yeah.
but it's for other women to know
Yes. Yes.
that you didn't just say, oh, I'm leaving, get up and walk out.
Yes.
There
No.
was a lot of things that you had to do to make that happen, and you still did it.
Yes. Yes.
You divorced,
Mm-hmm.
you put yourself back up on your feet,
Mm-hmm.
and you got into this business.
Yes. And I want to share something with you. 4 years, the last 4 years of my marriage, I called myself Sarah, Sarah. The same letters, but just different way of spelling because I didn't know who Sahar was. But one thing I did that many women may not do, and I encourage you if you're listening to this, is to prepare by getting to start doing your inner work. And that's what I did. I start going to workshops and classes behind his back. I use credit cards to go to uh, empowerment and women's empowerment and hire coaches to help me with my self-esteem, to make sure that I am emotionally stable when I'm leaving, financially stable when I leave. I even went for about 6 months to an abuse center, and I learned about abusive behavior so I could know how to avoid, what to do, what not to do. I educated myself. I did a lot of inner work. I um, I did a lot of I created a space to where when I left, I was prepared and ready. I know not a lot of women can do that, but I had the privilege because when I left, not only did just I asked my girls, it was almost like divorcing, they divorced him too. It wasn't just my decision. We sat down, we made a plan, and we all made a decision to leave. I rented an apartment first. I asked him to leave and not to be in my same bedroom, so he moved downstairs. I even tried counseling with him. Like I did everything that I can. But what I noticed is the more empowered I was, the more stronger I became, the more abusive he was. So it became so unbearable for me and my girls. And I said, it's time for us to leave. And I remember the day when I made that decision. It was August of 2017 while I was getting dressed and
Wow.
ready to go visit a friend or my mom. And I looked so pretty and happy because I was doing my inner work. I didn't let his negative energy get me anymore. And he didn't like that. That was somebody else was making me happy, and it wasn't just him. Um, and so
It
he
was
got me
you.
straight. Yeah, I had a new shirt on, and he had shaving cream, and he just took this shaving cream and he just put it on me and my new shirt. And he goes, I hope now your new shirt is going to make somebody else happy. Why are you happy? Or something like that. And he pushed me. And that moment, I made a commitment with my coach that I went to every single month for a whole year that if anything happens, I will know the decision. And it was that moment I said, enough is enough, and I'm stopping. It was that moment. I'll never forget it. And I went put my new shirt on, didn't have an argument, drove, and I was just going, today is the day I decide to leave. It took until October because I had to find a location. And I left with my girls, planned it all out. And of course, he wasn't happy and a lot of stuff happened. But with that, I also risked my finances. I've let go of a multi-million-dollar home, vacations all over the world, a home overlooking the Mediterranean Sea, all the money that you could ever imagine from the real estate that we did, bankruptcy, foreclosure, IRS auditing. I was going through the child support courts. I was going through divorce court all at the same time.
Oh,
That's what was the dark side of life. But you know what I did? I started a bright side of life gathering in my family room within less than a few months. I left in end of October. By February, I said, I'm not going to the dark side. I'm not going to stay there. I'm going to be empowering, inspiring women to look
yes.
at the life that belongs to them and begin there with 6 women that started my family room. It was February of 2008.
Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. And I had
Thank
to
you.
let go of all the stuff. And I was okay with it because I have now my dignity back and
Yes.
my
You had
girls
yourself.
and myself. Yes.
You had yourself. You had your own person.
Yes. Sahar. I stepped into Sahar. No more Sarah. I let go of Sarah and all the things that went along with Sarah. People thought we were so happy with all this stuff. Stuff
Of
doesn't.
course. Of course. They never see what's on the inside. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So chaos is the name of the podcast. And
Mm-hmm.
it means creating habits and outstanding success. Wait a minute, this fan is making me have a fan on, but it makes me stopped up. It means creating habits and outstanding success. What habits did you create to get here? Because now you have outstanding success. I mean, you have a group, the Soulful Community, Soulful Leadership Community,
Soulful leader community. Yes.
Soulful Leader Community Facebook group with like over 3,000 members. You got to be doing something right. What habits did you create? Mental habits, physical habits did you create to push you forward to get where you are now?
Beautiful. So I got my degree, not degree, I got my certification. I left real estate and I got my certification in life coaching. And back then, the secret had just began, right? And everybody was the law of attraction, and you could attract this and that. And I actually practiced the law of
Mhm.
attraction. I would write checks to myself, and all of a sudden, unexpected money would come.
Uh-huh.
I would meditate all the time, quiet my mind. I did a vision board for me and my girls.
Uh-huh.
Consistency in showing up time and time and time and time again for my community. One of the things that I said in our virtual gatherings last time, I do monthly, twice a month, I do virtual gatherings, and I said, a true leader shows up every single time, whether she feels like it or doesn't feel like it.
Right.
I showed up. Consistency. Also, I learned how to just self-care. It was just taking care of me, taking a break from taking care of the kids or asking people to help me. I was really good in asking for support and guidance
That's
from people
important.
because he literally left to another country and disappeared for a whole year. So it was just me. And I had so much to take care of, so much to clean up. And yet every single month I would show up at the bright side of life. Habits like making sure I have people that have my back. I have a wonderful cousins, loving, supporting. I wasn't shy of asking for my needs and wants. And so
That's
that's
important.
something I learned. And I'm teaching women as well. But yeah, many habits that kept me. And my nature, and I think seeing my mom too, like if she could do it, I could do it too. That really helped me. Like she gave me
Wow.
permission to be okay with where I was at. It wasn't easy, ups and downs, every journey. Oh, I
It
kid you not.
wasn't easy, huh?
No, no, no. And when my mom died, oh my goodness, I was at the top of my game, and I literally had to leave my apartment, probably got evicted. It was about 10 years ago. And I probably got evicted, and I ended up living with friends and family. So I don't like to call it homeless, but I literally didn't have a home. And me and my girls had to live with other people because I went to a deep depression.
Yeah.
So it's
Grief.
just like right when you think everything is gonna be good, one more. But you know what? I used the same tools when I left my marriage to get back on my feet.
Nice.
And yeah, and
And
it
so
was,
you're
yeah,
teaching those tools now, right?
yes, I am. I am.
That's
I am.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Where do they find you to get those tools? They need to find you to get
Yes.
those tools.
Yes. The best way is for people to join my group, which is the Soulful Leader,
Okay.
yeah, community with Sahar Nafal, and also to join our virtual gatherings. And I'll be launching soon a group coaching program. Yeah.
Nice.
So to help people.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is so wonderful. It's not easy. It's just
No,
not easy.
no.
And excuse me, you created the tools, you held on to the tools, and you see that in life you can
Mm-hmm,
use the tools over and over again,
mm-hmm,
over and over again. I know I got a lot of my, I call it chutzpah, from
mm-hmm.
my mom because my mom doesn't see slow down, stop, no, don't. She doesn't see any of those things. She's 80. She has her own business.
Wow.
It is still flourishing. I mean, she was here with me for a few months, and people were calling to be her clients while she was away from home. I mean, she is
Love it.
mind blowing.
Wow, I love it.
She does not see where things are supposed to be negative.
Yeah,
Like you can
absolutely.
say something negative to her and she'll go, ha ha ha, yeah, because so and so and so and so and so, and she'll be just off on a just gone.
She always looks at the bright side of life, right?
Oh, I think she was born right in the middle of the sun. I don't think she can get away. But I had Laura Beers as a guest on the podcast, and she is a motivational medium, and we
Hmm.
talked about grief,
Yes, wow.
grief, and how that just spans your whole life when it happens.
Hmm.
And she helps people through grief. And I was like, Lord, have mercy. We
Hmm.
sure need you, girlfriend.
Yes, 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 yes. That's amazing. That's a great work. Great
Yes, it
work.
is.
Yeah.
She has a total calm about herself. She's just like,
Oh,
ah.
I love
It's
it.
just who she is.
I love
So
that.
I can understand how grief would have made a another huge obstacle for you to use your tools. But I congratulate you again
Mm.
on using your tools
Yeah.
and becoming who you are
Hmm.
so that other people can become who they are. I have a friend, she's a guest on on the podcast too, AJ Austin. She is a life master life coach trainer. She
Mm.
trains coaches in one day.
Mm.
And I actually was coached by one of her students, and it was fantastic. But she says that you have to shine your life
Hmm.
so that others
Hmm.
have the permission to shine their light,
100%.
something like that. So
Yes,
I like
yes.
that.
Yeah, and
Wow.
that's exactly what my role is here on earth, is to give permission to other women to be the dawn, the new dawn of who they are. So
Yes.
Sahar means dawn, early in the morning. And so, yeah,
Ah,
so
nice.
yeah, and so I especially women in leadership, they need to step it up and be more aligned with who they are, right?
Yes,
And I love teaching and helping them and supporting them and really stepping up as a leader, because leader takes, it's a word with responsibilities.
it
and
is.
and it's so interesting because the universe always finds ways to keep these challenges come to me, which are such gifts, in order for me to say, okay, this time I'm going to make it faster, stand up more faster, and get back faster. Because I moved to Illinois in 2017. I hit the wall. Both of my girls have already graduated from college. I mean, high school. One of them was already in college. And I was exhausted. And I was doing multi-speaker event with people like Lisa Nichols, Dr. John Gray, and many, many big speakers with hundreds of people that are coming my event. Those 6 people now had served over 25 to 30,000 people that have joined our 350 live events. So you can imagine, I grew so fast. And all of a sudden, 2016, I called my sister who lived in Chicago at the time, and I said, I can't do this anymore. And my sister goes, the family's wondering when you're gonna stop because you were going, 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 just like your mom, right? The
Yeah.
like they have to go to college, they have to do, and I was just working and working. And it was just, I went through the dark night of the soul. I don't know if you know what that is,
No,
but
I don't.
it's called a spiritual depression. It's almost like you're no longer in alignment with what you did. So I had to let go of the bright side of life and welcome the soulful leader that I am. It took me about 2 years while I was in Chicago. I had to do a lot of family entanglement work, some karmic energy, some things that I was holding on to that no longer served me, attachments that I
Wow.
had to let go of. It was almost that layer that has been there, like in my family constellation, is like success equals love. And if you are not successful, you're not loved. And I had to
I like that.
let go of that belief. And my dad was there. He came to visit. He was in Jordan because both mom and dad decided to retire. Mom died, but my father was there, and I reconnected to the energy of my father, and we became closer. It was so beautiful. I did my daddy's work, right?
Wow.
And at that moment, he left it to Jordan June of last year, and he passed away in October of
Ugh.
last year as well. But I knew I did the work,
Yes.
things with my siblings that I had to
Yes.
clear out. It was so beautiful. And then I found myself, okay, and I literally got a message January 1st, New Year's, that Spirit literally, I was sitting on my recliner chair, and Spirit said, it's time for you to go home now. All the work that you need has been complete. I said,
Wow.
wait, my lease was over on the 1st of May. This was such, I mean, March, but I was planning to move to another city that reminded me, it was called Evanston, Illinois. It reminded me of California. I kept saying, oh, this town reminds me of California. When I didn't know that I was supposed to go back to California. So I had events end of January, right? And I had to complete them. And my lease was over, but my daughter was living there. So I thought maybe I'll stay with her for a little bit. But within 1 month, everything I needed was orchestrated because, again,
Yep.
all the beliefs and all the work that
Yep.
I've done, I was a manifester. The people that need to ship my card shipped it. The people that needed me to buy all my furniture because I had to let go of all the stuff came and showed up. The people that helped me move certain boxes showed up. Everything that I need, the home that I need to live in within a month. My cousin has a beautiful little studio I'm sitting in right now. She said, it's available. My daughter moved in January. That's when I was told everything is going to be available. So these are part of the tools. When you are in alignment with who you are and your vision, your purpose, the universe is always going to send you some, I call them opportunities of growth. And you're going to say, I got this. It's going to be much faster. I'll do it. And listening in and tuning in, right? I have a responsibility as a leader, and I can't just sit around and wait for things. I have to take action. But with
Right.
those action, also connect to
Yes.
my faith, my guidance, and listen within. That's the feminine way of doing it, and just move forward, trusting and surrendering to what is, surrendering to all that you know that God and the universe has your back. And that's where I live from now,
I love
surrendering to what
you.
is. When this
I
COVID
love
thing
you.
happens, I arrive on 03/03/2020 at 222. That's a number from the
Wow.
beginning. My flight arrived at 222. And I began a new journey. I had no clue why Spirit is saying it's time for you to go home now. A few weeks later, you know what happened. I don't have to say what happened. And all of a sudden I said, thank you, God. Thank you for having my back. And God said, thank you for listening.
Right.
Now I'm with my close family because everybody's gone. I had a boyfriend I had
Wow.
to let go of. My sister got a divorce, so my brother-in-law and his family is no longer there. My sister decided to go back to California. My oldest daughter, who still lived there, said, "Mom, I'm going back home." And so everything that I needed, the people that I need to learn and grow and evolve from, All of a sudden, the universe said, "We're taking him away. Your work has been done." Of course, my father passed. Your work has been done. It's time for you to go home and begin to rebuild community again.
Don't
And
you
then
just
when,
love it? The
yeah,
spirit, don't you just love the spirit? I mean, just listen. Just listen. Listen and take the action. And I think a lot of people are getting that message because COVID-19 has quieted the world. And
mm-hmm,
they can finally hear
mm-hmm,
themselves
yeah,
and the messages that are coming directly to them instead of looking for direction on the outside of us. I love you, Sahar.
thank you. I love you too,
You are so
Carolyn.
great.
Thank
And
you.
I am so glad that you were kind enough to come and say those things out loud because we
Time.
need to hear them.
It's time for women to step it up and share their truth with the world because we all
Yes.
belong here on earth. And one of the things that I advocate is like in my community, from day one, it was about diversity, not just about cultural diversity, but diversity of of faith, diversity of who we are, how we look like, diversity of our beliefs. It's okay, there's no right or wrong. There's no
Right.
right or
There's just
wrong.
us.
It is. It
And
is.
we're okay. We're
It is.
enough.
Yes,
It's
it
just
is.
us. We're okay. We're
Yeah,
enough.
we are.
Well, I'm not
Just
going to take
trust
up
and
much more of
surrender.
your time. I'm just so honored to have you.
Thank you.
You made me teary eyed.
Oh, you're
That's
beautiful.
that's my heart.
Oh,
um, I needed to hear some of that.
yeah,
Honestly, I
yeah,
need to hear some of that.
yeah.
But I give a listening gift at every episode,
Mm,
so we can talk about that. And when I the podcast actually airs on Apple, there'll be all kinds of scripts and transcripts and a whole bunch more marketing, and so people will know where to find you. But
beautiful.
until then, the Soulful Leader community on the Facebook group. Are you on Instagram and LinkedIn?
Right now, I am, but right now, I'm really focused on growing my Facebook group. That's
Okay.
my, yeah,
And you're doing extraordinary job. I was on there
yeah,
like, yes, look, 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 look.
yeah. Thank you so much. And
So
I'd like
thank
to
you.
end with the quote:
Yes.
"The space where you're at right now, God circled on a map for you."
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. Sahar Nafal.
Thank you for showing up and being who you are. Thank you, Carolyn.
And I hope to see you again really soon, okay?
We will.
All
Thank
right. Bye bye now.
you. Bye.
I want to thank you for listening because this podcast is for you. And don't forget to get your listening gift. You can go to listeninggift.com. That's LISTENING gift.com. Compliments and constructive criticism are welcome. If there is anything you would like me to talk about, just hit me up. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Coach Terry Lynn. That is Coach T as in Tom, ERRILYNN. And remember, create habits and outstanding success with us right here on Chaos.